Alright, guys, today I wanted to talk about a topic that has been brought up numerous times over the past, well, decade, I guess, really. You could go as far as to say maybe not that long, but like certainly the past 6 or 7 years, about is the 4-4-2, the classic British formation, or the classic football formation, I guess you could say, is it outdated? And I think there's definitely reasons why teams, well, the top teams now, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, Bayern Munich, PSG, like all the top teams, bar a few, do not use the 4-4-2 formation and prefer to use something like 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, or 3-4-2-1, or something similar. I think part of this is because of the way the game has changed in terms of the fitness of players. It like has increased over the past 20 years, like with obviously sports science coming into the game more now. Like up to 20 years ago, the best teams in the Premier League all played 4-4-2. Fergie's Man United, Arsene Wenger's Arsenal, both played 4-4-2. And I think there's definitely reasons why teams have moved on from this. Although having said that, there has been the odd occasion where it has succeeded for teams like in 2015-16 when Leicester won the Premier League title, they played 4-4-2. And the reason for this working, I believe, is massively down to a player like N'Golo Kante. If teams play 4-4-2 now, they cannot have passengers in midfield anymore. They have to have really hard working players in the middle of the park. Like I think that applies for any team that now plays a two-man midfield. If you look at Chelsea's team right now, they play a 3-4-2-1, so two central midfielders, and they have a choice of either Kante and Jorginho or Jorginho and Kovacic. Usually Jorginho is one of the players, and obviously he's a top player. I wouldn't put him up for the Ballon d'Or, but I would say he's a top central midfielder in Europe. One of the top 10, I would say, in Europe. And whoever Chelsea play in midfield, you know that they're going to work very hard for the team. But I think in a 4-4-2, the midfielders have to work even harder than they do in a two-man midfield where there's three at the back. Because with the three at the back, you can afford for one of the defenders to maybe step up. So for Chelsea, that's usually someone like Antonio Rudiger, who, likes to come out with the ball and bring it forward. Like he does that pretty much every game for Chelsea at some point. In a 4-4-2, you haven't got that luxury because if one of the centre-backs steps forward, then that leaves a massive gap in behind for a striker on the opposition team to potentially get in behind. There are still teams, though, these days that do use a 4-4-2 formation, like, for example, Atletico Madrid and Juventus. Now, for Atletico Madrid, they've used it for pretty much the entire time Diego Simeone's been at the club now, which is a decade now. And it works for them because or it has done in the past, it worked for them. Atletico Madrid aren't quite the team they used to be, at least in my opinion, anymore. I know they won La Liga last season, but La Liga last season wasn't really, it wasn't the most high performance competition in the whole of football, I wouldn't say. I think that's fair to say that the three teams going for the title really were like not at their best. Like, for example, Real Madrid have been a lot better this season. Atletico Madrid have probably performed at a similar level to last season, but because of the other teams around them, they haven't had as much success. And it's worked for Atletico Madrid in the past because they play a very deep line back four and a very compact midfield, and most of their attack comes from the two forward players. In the past, that's been Antoine Griezmann, Fernando Torres, who else? Correa, Suarez more recently, and multiple others, Diego Costa going a few years back as well, and João Felix more recently too. So a lot of it is based on that, and then maybe the two wide midfielders try to get forward to help as well. But they usually have 6 men back in a defensive position or they used to. They had 6 men back for large parts of the game to to stop the other team from scoring, basically, and it worked for them. But a lot of teams these days, or a lot of teams used to play a 4-4-2, but also play very good football. Arsenal, Man United, as I've already said. These days that wouldn't work because of the teams that the amount of pressing that teams do. Can you imagine playing 4-4-2 with expansive football against Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool or Pep Guardiola's Man City? It would go down horrendously. But that's partly why it doesn't happen anymore. So I think the answer to the question is 4-4-2 has become a formation now that only really works if you are willing to sacrifice expansive, free-flowing attacking football, because it is a very rigid formation as well. Like if you look at the 4-3-3 or let's take Liverpool as an example, you have Fabinho will sometimes drop in to become a third centre-back, which allows, well, not quite a third centre-back, a bit more forward to Van Dijk and Matip, but offers them the protection. He never goes forward, Fabinho. And that allows the full-backs, whether it be Trent Alexander-Arnold or Andy Robertson, to push forward and help with the attack. Then you have Jordan Henderson and, up till this season, Jorginho Wijnaldum playing as 2 central midfielders who don't contribute in terms of numbers in attacking, like goals and assists, massively, but playing a very important role in the team. And then Liverpool have Roberto Firmino as their false number 9, who can drop back a bit and come for the ball, thus bringing out the opposition team's defenders, stretching them, and allowing space for Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane. That's how a lot of teams play this season, these days. Similar to how Man City play, but Man City are a little bit more possession-based rather than fast counter-attacking. So, like, if you played an expansive 4-4-2 against that, you would get ripped to shreds, basically. So that's the point I wanted to make. I don't think you can really play a 4-4-2 formation anymore with, like, very expansive football. I think if you're playing 4-4-2, you've got to be compact, and you've got to keep both lines of 4 quite deep. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.